Hello everyone, it is Joe here from OmniPoke, the channel that brings you guys everything Pokemon. Today we're on the lovely Limitless TCG website. They've collated lots of the tournaments that have just happened the past weekend, and also the special event in Chile which happened on the 16th of March, so last weekend. And they're all standard team up, and we're going to look at the top 8 deck lists and break them down today, and then we'll have a little chat about the metagame at the end. So let's jump straight into it with this event in Chile that happened. It was 194 Masters, and it was won by none other than Gustavo Wada once again. He won the special event in Cannes with Pikachu and Zekrom Tag Team GX, and he's won another special event with the same archetype, Pikachu and Zekrom Tag Team. More like a Thunder Buddies build, where it's playing the Jirachis, it's playing the Zapdos, it's playing Jolteon. So definitely a wide array of attackers, but the option to go aggro Pikarom when you have to. There's still big threat around this card if it's not going to be dealt with, so playing around with this archetype, I seem to never get my head around it. I'm more of just a pure Zapdos player more often than not, but I can see the times where pushing Pikarom can just be really advantageous, and there are board states where the opponent can't deal with it, and he will just carry and go for big tag bolts and close out games. So really, really solid list. The Marshadow letting loose in addition to your own Jirachis. If you set up your own Jirachi and then let loose your opponent, hopefully they're going to brick a lot more than you do. And that can allow you to push a little bit further in certain turns, disrupt the opponent's hand whenever you need to, and really helps out specifically against Zoroark, which is a big card. It's got all the usual stuff that you imagine from Lightning decks, Jolteon being a huge help against Zapdos, just like pure Zapdos builds. Has its own sort of portion of Zapdos in here, just a couple copies as well as one copy of Stretcher to recycle them if you're trying to be non-GX, and if you want to Grinch some early basics. Thunderous Assault is very good at doing that when you need to. So it has the flexibility to go aggressive with Pikarom when you have to, and also have this whole box style approach when you need to. It still has the Zero Aura in there. Big card for Mill, and Mill's popping up a little bit here and there, at least still in Europe. And Zero Aura really helps out for that, as well as just offering a great ability for getting you into your Pikachu and Zekrom easier, moving out of your Zapdos, all that good stuff. Really, really powerful card. It's got the Absol to try and disrupt Malamars, and as well as obviously other Jirachi-based builds like Zapdos. It's got a pretty simple draw engine, the 4 Lily, 4 Guzma. It's got a split of 1 Cynthia, 1 Erica, 1 Volkner, and 1 Acerola. Pretty strange split. Maybe he's being experimental. Maybe he's just saying that Jirachi can pull the right one out at the right time. Erica, obviously a nice power swing card when your opponent has got fully set up. Then it has the regular ball search stuff, really. The 1 Rescue Stretcher isn't in a lot of lists, but he is maining it in his. It's got the 1 copy of Aether Paradise still in there, trying again to make your opponent have more answers and more outs that they have to hit in order to get over a Pikachu and Zekrom at times, which is a really big deal. It's got the Aether Paradise, obviously, and just 11 Lightning, so not full Turbo ROM, more of a Thunder Buddies list. It was Blacephalon that got second place with Fabrizio Inga. He was playing a pretty straightforward build. He's got the obvious synergy with Grimer and Muck, both being Psychic types, and he's playing the heavy line of Treasure with 3 copies as well as 4 Ultra Balls. Got double Let Loose and 1 Tapu Lele GX with the same 3-4 Naga line that we saw incorporated from Zach Lesage. I think this might actually be Zach's just list, actually. This looks very similar to Zach's list. I can't remember it off the top of my head, but this looks to be the same 60 cards, to be honest. If it's not the same 60 cards, it's very close. Very straightforward Blacephalon build, and it's still proving its worth. We see 2 Zoroarks in the top 8. One is a Zoroarkario. It's playing the split of the Lycanrocs, so only 1 Guardians Rising Bloodthirsty Eyes 1 and 1 Twilight Eyes 1. I'm not so sure about this. I think Bloodthirsty Eyes is so critical. He's trying to make up for it by having 3 physical Guzma, but I am definitely a big fan of having 2 Bloodthirsty Eyes. I think it's such a big card for Zoro Mirrors. Obviously Lucario is good as well, but a lot of the time you're the one having to do the gusting yourself, and yeah, that's a big deal. Obviously got the Muck. It's also playing Guru, so trying to respect the potential for Mill and stuff like that. It's not full respect to Mill because it's not playing the Switch and it's not playing the Tantalizer that it could be playing. And that's something... So I feel like it could still lose to Mill, but Oranguru is just a reasonable card in general anyway. 4 Lily, 3 Guzma, obviously the higher count because it's only got the one Gusting one. It's got the Mallow and the Judge. It plays Kukui, 1 Choice Band. So this is similar to the DDG list by the looks of things. 3 Com, just the one stretch of the Power Pad, the Blower. Devoured Field still. Pretty low on the energy count for a Zoroark Cario, but yeah, overall pretty reasonable. It's strange to see Devoured Field in a list for me. I think Brooklet or Viridian is stronger in a Zoroark Cario because you don't really want to be hitting into 130 hit point stuff. You already have Kukui in here as well in his build, which DDG didn't have in theirs actually, so it's not the same as their build at all. So yeah, the Devoured Fields do feel weird for me, but yeah. We see our first Zapdos in top 4. This was a Ultra Beast build with the 1 Buzz, 1 Nihilego. Obviously has the 1/1 Zeb Striker as well. Zebra is very popular in the Ultra Beast build for sure. Absol in here for mirrors and again good for Malamar, slowing them down. It's got the regular support account that you see in the Ultra Beast build, which is 4, 4, 2, and 1 Volkner. This all looks very straightforward and very good, to be honest. I really like this build. 3 Shrine is very heavy. This is actually just Robin's list. You can see it right here. Robin's list from Cans. For me, and anecdotally speaking to Robin, 3 Shrine is a lot, and that's something I would trim into. Even if you just put in 1 Thunder Mountain over one of these 3 Shrines. I really like that. It really helps you out against opposing Absol players, because it means you can like attach to retreat your Jirachis a lot more alongside the escape board, so that they're not completely dead. Also, I'm a massive advocate of double Zeb Striker because I respect Zoroark. But yeah, Morphle in top 8. And this looks to be a similar build. Is it the exact same? No. Okay, not the exact same. What's it got different? 4 Treasure and 3 Ultra Ball, so it's a flip-flop of Ball Search. That's probably the only change by the looks of things. Jorge Salas, also in top 8. He is playing Jolteon as well as the Ultra Beasts. So the 1/1 Jolteon in here. Still only having 5 physical lightning energy makes it kind of difficult to find your Jolteon. Especially he's still playing Shrine, so he's not playing... He's only playing 1 Volkner as well. It's actually really hard to find the pieces for an early Jolteon. Obviously, it's sometimes just a better card to put down later when your opponent, when you've passed the opponent's opportunity for a Sledgehammer turn in Zapdos Mirrors. So something to bear in mind. Jolteon's a nice card, even as a 1/1. He's not even playing Max Potion, so he intends to put this down later on in the game against other Zapdos players and force people to like move out of the way and stuff. For me, if you are playing Jolteon, I would encourage having a higher Volkner count, if not a higher basic energy count. Thunder Mountain is pretty much a must for me if you play the Jolteon build, and Max Potion's also preferable in my opinion, but not essential. But I know that jamming in a lot of stuff, when you're playing Jolteon and Ultra Beast, it is going to cram up room. He's not playing Zeb Striker, and I have a problem with that personally. But he is playing both Wobbuffet and Marshadow. Wobbuffet shutting off opposing Cocos, and also Ditto is a huge card, obviously. Having Let Loose as well gives you extra push to get you over the line sometimes, as well as disruption against Zoroark early. Sometimes if you disrupt the opponent early with a Let Loose, they can't get out their Grimers and Dittos and stuff, so you just beat Zoroark in a faster game plan. We'll see that Nico Alabas from Bolzano also has the similar approach, just having Marshadow and no Zebras at all in his build. Then we're going to see the 1 Erica being thrown in as one of these additional supporters over like the 2nd Cynthia, which is pretty interesting. From there, everything looks pretty standard. But yeah, 3 Shrine in this build as well. Very high counts, especially when you play the Jolteon. That feels strange to me. We see a Zoroark, a pure Zoroark, which is the thick Lycanroc line, with back to the good old 2 Bloodthirsty Eyes, but still having the option for the 1 Twilight Eyes. Lycanroc. It also played Persian, which is something that we'll see again as well. Persian using Make 'em Pay to discard your opponent's hand down to 4 cards. Good in Zoroark mirror matches sometimes, also good against stall players because you can break their Lucamine chain, and that's really huge. He is also playing Tantalizer, so this seems to be a list that's also respecting the potential for mill decks. He's also playing the heavy Guzma count of 3. The Judge and the Mallow. Kukui's in here as well. Countergain Devoured Field and Viridian. A nice little 1/1 split there. I'm not Not a big... I mean, I'm an advocate of playing the Viridian. The Devoured Field 1-1 split is kind of fine when you play Mallow as well. I don't hate that. And the 9 energy count, yeah, seems like a pretty reasonable straight Zoro rock. And finally, we see Alexis with a Zapdos Jirachi, but with fighting and lightning energies. So no rainbow build, just the Buzz and the 1-1 Lucario GX. Is this similar to the Cans list? It's similar to the Cans list, but it's not the same as Zapdos TCG's build. It's also playing the Wobbuffet as sort of a defense against Dittos and such. Because, of course, if you're able to put down a Wob and also Gust the physical Grimer, you're going to be fine against Muck. Unless your opponent's Bloodthirsty Eyes up your Wobbuffet, then evolves into Muck, and then like deals with your Wobbuffet. This is playing a heavy Volkner count, for sure. And it's playing 4 Electric Power, Nest Ball. Everything else looks pretty self-explanatory. Has the 1 copy of B-String to dig out the fighting energies on your Buzzwole turn. Obviously, the benefit to playing basic energies over rainbows is that you force your opponent to have the likes of Devoured Field or Kukui to one-shot you. Otherwise, you stick on board, and that's going to be a big threat. Also has the 1 copy of Viridian, so he can mix and match when he needs to dig out fighting energy. Obviously, the Lucario is a big tech card for Pikarom and Zoroark as well, so that's one way to push yourself over the line in an aggressive fashion, rather than having Zeb Striker just to help you keep drawing throughout the entire game. So yeah, nice spread of 4 of the top 5 decks all showing. I think Ultra Malamar being the only one to not feature in the top 8 would be pretty much like the last deck that I would consider in the top 5 right now. So yeah, pretty reasonable spread of decks, nothing too surprising out of Chile here. We move on to Bolzano in Italy. This was manned by 126 Masters. It was won by Pedro Torres with his trusty Zapdos Jolteon build. Now, Pedro is playing a fantastic build, and I'm not going to discredit it too much, but I will say that he has not faced a Zoroark in 2 events now. The 2 events that he's done well with this deck, he's not faced a single Zoroark player once. And that means this deck can just run riot on people when there's no Alolan Muck coming down on the board. But it does not respect Muck a lot. I think your answers to Muck include trying to just let loose, and sometimes it's trying to get enough energy on big threats early that you can deal with the Zoroark and just get over the line early. But I think it's kind of risky, man. I think it's kind of risky. That's the one thing I dislike about his list. I think I would say that with the thick Jolteon, the 1 Max Potion, and the 4 Volkner, you're definitely feasting on other Zapdos players. You really are. This is such a solid card. When you can chain this guy, you get so much value out of Electro Bullets. You can jump over potential Sledgehammer turns. You can Swift Run on Sledgehammer turns, and then just continue your charge with your Jolteon throughout the rest of the game. I think this build is really, really solid against Clowns, Pikarom, Cephalon, and loves facing Zapdos. It just doesn't have many answers to Zoro, so dodge and weave that. But everything else in the build, I absolutely love, and yeah, I think it's a really solid list to take if you just want to play it. Playing a pretty, pretty good build overall, but just does not respect Zoro much at all. Alessandro Cremascoli, he has once again done very well with Mill. He got second in Cans with the same archetype. He's not playing the same 60 that we know of right now, but you can see his build from a couple weeks earlier in Cans if you really want to. But yeah, no list for that so far. Then we see Nico Alabas with a Zapdos list. He's once again playing the Ultra Beast mixed in with the Jolteon. So again, Jolteon's such a big card for Zapdos mirror matches. Does make a lot of sense right now. Has cut the Zebra, which makes me a little tilted, but he has the Marshadow to try and let loose on people, to make Zoroark players in particular just not have answers on turn 1. Or if they are going to go first, they can get all their basics down, you can let loose them, and maybe they miss their Zoroark, so they miss enough stuff to get into their Muck as well as Zoroark as well as DCE. Like, you force them to have everything all at once, so this is much more anti-Zoro for just going, okay, cool, I'll hit let loose, and just hope that works. Sometimes it will, sometimes it won't. So it does allow more space in the deck, and in theory it's more consistency, but the Zebra does help you push throughout the game anyway. 4 Lily, 4 Guzma, 2 Cynthia, 2 Volkner, I really like those counts. Nothing else here. Couple Ultra Ball means it's actually pretty hard for you to find your Marshadow. Like, you end up Volknering for Ultra Ball for your Marshadow, which kind of looks weird. But yeah. The Energy Lotto in here. I don't mind this card as well. He's playing a really low energy count. I noticed this earlier. He's playing 9. It's actually not that low. 9 instead of the usual 10. Instead, he's playing the 1 Lotto over the 4th Rainbow. This is a nice card just because it helps you Jirachi for it, which I'm a pretty big fan of because it's so crucial to hit your Buzzwole and Nihilego turns. Holding on to something like a Lotto or Jirachiing out a Lotto on the key turn can be a big deal. And not much else there. The 2 Shrine, the 1 Thunder Mountain, that's the split that I prefer as well. So overall, again, just a really nice list to copy if you want to just go with a Zapdos Rainbow build. With the slightly higher Vulcan account, I do see that he can get into the Jolteon as and when he needs to, especially with the Lotto as well. So it's not going to be much of a problem for him. So yeah, I like that build a lot. I think this is a really solid Zapdos Buzz. If you want to play the Jolteon, if you want to play the Zebstrika over Jolteon, you obviously cut the Marshadow, cut the Jolteon pieces, and maybe make a space somewhere else and play the double Zebra, but that's really it. Kim was able to also perform very well with a Zapdos Jirachi Ultra Beast build. He's playing the double Zebra, my man, absolutely love it. He's actually also playing the Let Loose, so he's playing both options. You can go defensive with Zebstrika and still have something to do when a Muck's in play, but you also have Let Loose potential as well to try and ruin them early or help you dig later as well. So something to bear in mind. He's actually playing no copies of Volkner at all. Just the 4/4 and 2 Cynthia, which is kind of brave. I really like the option. Even if it is just a one-off, I like Volkner as an option. Sometimes it can bail you out. I love playing 3 Ultra Ball in this build. Has to happen. It's also incorporating the 1 Lotto and the 9 energy cards. Only 4 basic lightning. Interesting. That's a really interesting build. It's playing no Thunder Mountain and double Shrine. Pretty interesting build. I think we're getting close. It seems to be almost... There was, first of all, Zapdos and then the split off of Ultra Beast build. And now the Ultra Beast builds are splitting off to Zebra builds and Jolteon builds. That's a pretty interesting development. Something to keep an eye on as well. 3 Zoroarks made top 8. 2 of them were Zoroark Karios. We have the list for these. And also a Blounds. And again, what we're seeing, again in this special event, no Ultra Necrozma making top 8. So that seems to be taking a dip right now. Seems to be probably the lowest performing of the top 5 decks right now. This was... Sorry, I just missed the name. This was Friedrich's build of Zoroark Kario. He's just playing the 2/2, the 2/2, playing the Muck, all that good stuff. Double Acerola, Judge Mallow. Looks really, really straightforward and simple. Playing the Brookless as well. Oh, Friedrich, I love this build. This is Poggers right now. Yeah, ticking all the boxes for me. This is a really nice build. Copy this build. Good 60 cards. Very, very simple and straightforward. 4/4/4 with Ball Search as well. Yeah, I'm loving that list. Nothing wrong with it at all. I mean, it's not playing Kukui, which you might judge, but I actually don't really rate Kukui in this build in particular. I think 1 band is actually just enough a lot of the time. Yeah, thumbs up for that list. I think Field Blower is the only question mark card. But obviously, if there are going to be people throwing in policies and even just having an extra answer to escape boards could be strong right now. Patrick was able to also finish in top 8 with his Zoroark Kario. The one thing he did as he was attending an Italian tournament and obviously the homeland of Alessandro, the man who played Mill in Cannes, he's teched for Mill. He is playing both the Alolan Persian for Make and Pay as well as Oranguru. So he is definitely prepared to hit some Mill players. In Europe, it's actually a theme. Mill is kind of just an ongoing thing that we have to put up with. And Patrick is putting up with it by just having these 2 tech cards in his build. He's playing the Lily engine, but also has the option of 1 Elm. So that's pretty creative from him. It's got the Blower, the Gain, the double Viridian as well to help him find those energies on crucial turns with Lycanroc or Lucario. But yeah, pretty simple stuff. It plays the Rainbow Acerola option. It doesn't play the Liza. It's just the Rainbow Acerola option to pick stuff up, which is definitely fair enough. Then we move on to Carl Peters and Manuel Jorak. Manuel has been playing Bucephalon a lot. I think he's got 600 or so CP with that deck alone, so that's pretty insane. He's loving that archetype. And Carl Peters with a Zoroark. Don't really know his build, but yeah, again, he's another player with a lot of strong performances this season. Yeah, he's really making a push this year. In Brazil, we have the other regional that occurred. So far, 2 specials, and then this regional occurred the same weekend as Bolzano. And this was attended by 233 masters. And what's this theme again? We're seeing the top 5 turning into a top 4, turning into possibly a top 3 decks. Feels like Ultra Mali is falling off a little bit. And Zoroark, Pikarom, and Zapdos are all emerging as very, very strong decks. Blacephalon kind of being that odd one out that's trying to capitalize on all the Zoroark players. It's kind of coming full circle. Blacephalon wants to dodge the Pikaroms, but loves facing Zoroark and doesn't mind facing Zapdos as long as it can get that muck out. Zoroark wants to be facing, well, definitely the Zoroark Carios. They want to face the Pikaroms. They want to muck against the Zapdos. The Zapdos players are trying their best to beat each other with Jolteon. They're trying also to tech for muck in 2 ways by having Let Loose or having Zebra and the Ultra Beast package. Those were the ones all being the most successful. Regardless, that's a little mini rant. We'll talk about that all in the last section, but William Azevedo, very prominent Brazilian player, was able to take the win with his Zoroark Lycanroc build. No Lucario in this one, just having the thick Lycanroc with that Twilight Eyes option, seeming to be more and more of a prominent card in a lot of these decks this weekend for sure. So this is definitely proving its worth. One to test out. Very interestingly enough, he plays Ditto, Grimer, Muck, and Absol. It's very rare that you see all 3 of these cards. Well, all 4 of these cards, I guess. So I guess he has the soft lock option if everything goes to pot with that muck. So something to bear in mind, to have still something there just in case. Also, just a good card against Mallies and stuff to slow them down. 4 Ultra, 3 Guzma, so very, very high on gusting. The 3 Guzma and the double rock, even with 3 Rockruffs. You see the option to gust all the time, which is pretty huge. Plays Kukui, plays Plumeria. What an interesting tech card. This is almost certainly a mirror match tech card. Get rid of an energy on the back and take a knockout somewhere else. That's really interesting. Plays 4 Nest, 3 Ultra, 3 Com. Interesting. That's probably the lowest Bull Search count we've seen so far. It's normally 4-4-3 at the very lowest. I think the Absol does take up a space there. Stretcher, Power Pad, Choice Bands, Devoured Field as his stadium count as well. And just the 8 energy in total. Interesting build. Heavy Choice Band and Kukui still in the build. 2 Devoured. Really interesting. Huh. It also feels like the Weavile is kind of dropping off, which kind of makes sense. If Malamar's dropping off, the Weavile's kind of pointless. We see a Zapdos Lycanroc coming second with Dalton, ending up losing to a Zoroark, of course, something to bear in mind, because this is trying to capitalize on Zoroarks by having the fighting package in the build, but it basically has no answer to a lower muck. It's going to draw just as badly, but it does have the 2-2 Lycanroc for its own gusting ability, and also the Sledgehammer turn, as well as the potential to GX attack with your Lycanroc for big damage. It's playing the 4-4-2-2. It's got all the usual stuff. Everything looks really simple and consistent here. The only thing I would question is only 2 Ultra Balls when you're playing a supplementary stage 1. But yeah, 2 Viridians. No B-Strings, just hoping to Sledgehammer and playing the Viridians. But yeah, interesting, trying to target Zoroark in yet another way by having the fighting package. More Zoroark Carios, they seem to just be really solid and safe right now by the looks of things. This only has a 2-1 line of Lucario, so it's kind of more the threat of it than having to use it all over. Often, you just have to use it once a lot of the time. That's where it gets its value, as long as you don't prize it. This is also playing the Lily and the Elm option, similar to Patrick's build. Playing Timers in addition to the 4-4-3, so he's really wanting not to whiff. Most recently, I've been adding in Great Balls to my personal Zoroark Cario, because they're insta-plays for your Lily, but Timer Ball works if you are going to go down the Elm, have the one-off Elm in the deck as well. This, interesting enough, doesn't play any Mallow at all, just a heavy Judge line, which is pretty surprising. The reason why it doesn't play Mallow is because it plays 1 copy of Multi-Switch and 2 Counter Gain. So don't prize it, just try and dig and find it early, have the option for these 3 outs. So it's a lot of answers to try and hit to find that Pikarom. I guess the mentality is you don't really want to use a Tapu Lele against things just to use that Mallow a lot of the time, so that's something to bear in mind. Again, going for the heavy Devour field. There seems to be this ongoing debate right now. Obviously, one thing to really note, I think the biggest thing to keep an eye on, is that this build is not playing any Kukui or Choice Band. 0 Choice Band in the list. So it's been completely cut from this build. I actually don't mind that at all. I've done the same in my Zoroark Cario. I don't even play Devoureds. That's how greedy I am. I only play Brooklets because I want to get my fighting guys down early. But yeah, another interesting build of Zoroark Cario. Lots of variation going on. Vinicius has done well also with Zoroark Cario. A 2-2 line, 8 energy cards. That seems to be where everyone's landing. Everyone's adding in this rainbow as well for Acerola players and also random, what's it called? Tapu Cure moments when you have nothing better to do. Like if that's your only option, etc. This looks much more straightforward until you come down to bodybuilding dumbbells. This is an interesting card, trying to keep you out of range of all sorts of things, I guess. I guess that's the idea. Yeah, make your Muck untouchable. Make your Zoroarks even less, in range of all sorts of things. It's going to be pretty difficult to get over these guys. And again, making the choice of saying, I don't need Choice Band in this build. I just want to have the dumbbells instead. That's really interesting. Then we're going to see, it also makes it, potentially it means that your Lycanrocs can survive other Lycanroc attacks as well, and that's a huge factor in Zoroark mirrors. If your opponent can't Dangerous Rogue your Lycanroc, you just win. That's actually a really interesting tech. I want to adventure that more myself. Maybe he's onto something. That's pretty wild. Nicholas Gallas, he is playing Pikarom with the double Zapdos, the Jolteon. Thunder Buddies box seems to be the most popular way that we're seeing Pikarom these days. The age of the turbo YOLO build is completely gone by the looks of things. Everyone's just going Zapdos Jirachi package with some Pikarom for those moments where it's good. It's also got the Acerola. This looks very similar to Gustavo's list that we saw earlier. Not too much different by the looks of things. It's not playing the Aether Paradise, it's playing Viridian instead. I think that's like one of the only changes that I can see off the top of my head. Third Jirachi as well as something that wasn't played by Gustavo. And then at the bottom of the top 8, there's 2 Zapdos builds. Let's have a quick scout of these before we head out. This is Ultra build again, so it feels like the Ultra Beast build is definitely very strong. It plays the 1-1 Zebra as well as the Absol. It's playing 3 Shrine as well. So 3 Shrine. So many people playing 3 Shrine. Wow, it's really interesting. Shrine's something I found to be one of the lowest performing cards personally, but another build playing the high count. And it's another Ultra Beast build. Ultra Beast seem to be running the show. This one's actually playing a Counter Energy over a Beast Energy. Beast Energy has some good high roll moments, but Counter Energy is also pretty cool. Is he playing any Energy Search? No, he's not playing the Lotto. So you just kind of got to draw into it, but it can let you do some wacky plays with Swing Around. You can even do Dance of the Ancients into Counter Energy for Swing Around plays if you have to, which is pretty wild. But yeah, I got the 1 Cynthia, 1 Erica, that mini split that a few people have tried to go for. It also plays 1 copy of Kukui, which you don't often see with the Ultra Beast builds. It's got 3 ropes in here as well. It's going heavy on the rope and only 2 physical copies of Switch. That's interesting also. 2 Ultra Ball, 3, still 3 boards, so really high on the switches. I like the 2 Shrine, 1 Mountain. I'm a big fan of the Thunder Mountain. I think it's a really solid card to have in the list. And was that the last one? That was the last one, wasn't it? Yeah, that's going to be it. So yeah, I've already sort of discussed as I've gone on my thoughts about how this tournament, how this format is progressing. I'll quickly have a look at the total points that decks have claimed so far. We're going to split these archetypes into variants. Oops. It already was split into variants. Perfect. And see how these decks have been performing. Zapdos seems to be on top as an individual deck. If you lump in Zoroark and Zoroark Cario, however, that gets to over 400 points. So that would be the highest if you lumped Zoroark all into one. It seems to be Zapdos still second. Ultra Malamar did nothing over the last 2 weekends, got no points, so it seemed to be a deck that a lot of people went for early and seems to be dropping off and falling out of favor for whatever reason. I'm not really sure why. I think it's still got a reasonable Zapdos. I think it's Zoroark is reasonable. It feels like it's a 50-50 deck in the format, and maybe people are just preferring to have higher highs and lower lows, more 60-40 based matchups, some dodging and weaving involved. Or possibly the Ultra Malamar is just not consistent enough to keep up with these decks like Zapdos and Zoroark, which are always going to go for Plan A. They're going to draw a lot better all the time. Even Pikarom to that extent as well. Like, the decks that have Jirachi and the decks that have Zoroark just draw better than Malamar a lot of the time. Even though Ultra is oftentimes adding in its own Jirachi, like, it feels like it's going to draw a lot worse than these other decks, and maybe that's what's sort of winning it out at the moment. Something to bear in mind. And then as we look down, Blounds, only at 83, so right now it's doing worse than the like aggro Pikarom that we saw here, but as we know, this has just not seen much play at all, basically since the IC. A lot of these points are from Turbo Rom from the IC, and basically since Zapdos popped up, this became an unplayable archetype, basically. And Blacephalon seems to be on the rise, as is Zapdos Jolteon. That's sort of creeping up a little bit here and there. Felt like this weekend, a lot of the Ultra Beast builds were the ones doing the rounds, getting the first in the tournaments. But the Jolteon build can also come in and try and beat those builds that are Ultra Beast based, so do bear that in mind. As we jump over to top 8s, this might tell you a different story. It looks like Blounds has only had one top 8 so far. But, wait, that really can't be right. Wait a minute, what's going on here? What have I done wrong? Something's gone wrong here, because it's definitely had more than one top 8. Let me go on to the top 8 regionals. Oh, was I on ICs? I don't know what I was on. Huh, maybe it just hasn't been updated. Interesting. Old news. Okay, that's bad. But as we know, basically it's become a top 3 decks, and Blounds if you want to play Blounds, and you're committed to that because you spent a lot of money on clowns themselves. But yeah, Zoroark Cario is still proving itself to be amazing. Zoroark just having the split of Lycanroc also proving to be very strong. Play mill counters if you want to, but it's not essential. The stadium count's the biggest thing for contention in both Zoroark and Zapdos for me. Both those things need to figure out the best stadium. Loads of people have different opinions on it. I really like playing Brooklets because I just like getting basics on board when I'm playing the fighting build. Devoured Field's obviously good. Viridian's also an option if you really want to. For Zapdos, the Shrine count, if you want to play Thunder Mountain or not, although all those things come into effect. Zapdos is splintering off into even more variations. There's Zapdos Jolteon, there's Zapdos Ultra Beast with Jolteon, there's Zapdos Ultra Beast with just Marshadow and Straight, and there's Zapdos Ultra Beast with Zebra, thick Zebra, 2-2 Zebra. So all sorts of ways that Zapdos is working, but the bottom line is it's working, and the Ultra Beast build seems to be the one that's got the most prowess right now, getting the most results. But then again, Pedro came in and got a win with his Jolteon build, so preying on the other Zapdos players out there right now. And Pikarom's all gone down the Jirachi Zapdos route as well, so all that stuff's good. Blounds is also just performing. It seems that Zach Lesage made pretty much the best 60 possible, and everyone's just copying that, and it's doing fine. So, yeah. Let me know what you guys think about the decks and how the format's shaping up. Yeah. Also keep an eye out for Mill, because Alessandro keeps doing well with it, and when that list comes out, if it's been changed much from his cans list, people will play that as well. So, yeah, keep an eye out for Mill. That's something that just pops up in the ICs. And if you're coming to a European tournament, you have to respect Mill, in my opinion. So, those people coming from overseas, be aware. Europeans like playing Mill, so watch out. That's it for today, guys. Hope you did enjoy, and I'll see you in another video tomorrow. Cheers.